You have to look at the level of the person's spiritual evolution in speaking to them and understanding. I mean, I've heard people years ago that got in these big arguments with me and just this and that. And then years later, I met them and they apologized. In fact, that just happened to me recently from somebody. Came up to me and just apologized. Said, I just want to apologize to you. And I said, don't worry about it. You know, it's fine. But where that person was, he couldn't see something that he was able to see later about something that he thought was wrong, but later on he realized that it wasn't wrong based on his knowledge and his understanding at that stage. And that's something that we all go through. There are things that we think are absolutely wrong, and later we learn that they're right, or that they were at least possible, that there was room for interpretation. But people that are hasty to judge, that's a sign of spiritual immaturity. Imam al-Ma'ziri radiallahu anhu said, it was said about him that his knowledge was so vast that he rarely saw anybody do anything wrong. Because he would always find, oh, well, that's so-and-so's opinion. Or maybe he's following so-and-so's fatwa. And so traditionally the ulama considered it a sign of immaturity for people that were so hasty to condemn other people, that it was actually a sign of immaturity. And one of the tragedies of the modern Muslim condition is that because of mass education, which is largely secular, people have been introduced into literacy. And that enables them to read books that in previous periods of time they would not have been enabled to read. And one of the things about reading books without suhbah is that you take rules without realities. You see, you'll take the outward but not the inward with it. And one of the signs traditionally of an autodidact in the Muslim world is that they had a habitual condemnation of others. That was something that the ulama said about Ibn Hazm, for instance, radiallahu anhu. And I don't want to aghtabu. I love Ibn Hazm, and he was a great scholar, and I love his books. But Ibn Hazm was known for really being fierce with some of the other scholars, attacking them. He was also known for being an autodidact. He was somebody that did not study with shuyukh. He had a brilliant intellect, and he studied on his own. And there are many scholars in the history of Islam that were like that. They were very brilliant. And the ulama actually debate about whether you can acquire knowledge without a teacher or not. And most of the ulama believe that you can if you have enough brilliance or intelligence, natural gifts, that you can, but you will always be deficient in your what they call tarbiyah. That the person will not have those qualities that are associated with taking knowledge from people who have taken knowledge from people who have taken knowledge back to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because there is a certain what's called tahdhib. The Arabs, is a beautiful word. It's a tahdhib that goes. It's a polishing of the soul that goes with the knowledge. Because as that scholar that you're studying with, he's breaking away ignorance, because knowledge is actually already in the soul. And what he's doing is he's sculpting what's already in the soul. You cannot acquire anything that wasn't already in you. You see, and that's what knowledge is. Education in Latin means to bring out of, educare. It means to lead out of. You see, allama means that Allah, allama al-insan. Allah has already imprinted in the human being knowledge. And that is why knowledge in reality is recollection. It's actually memory. And that's why the Quran is called dhikr. It's the remembrance, because what you're doing is you're remembering what was already put in you. But if your heart is so encrusted, there's blockage and you're unable to recollect. It's like a person who lived through an event, but he can't remember. And what will often prevent you from remembering things is trauma, right? The trauma of the world. So there's people that they're unable to study or learn. So, in terms of dealing with Muslims, the basic premise has to be compassion.